I'm not going to faff about. This is a guide on how to be a Lewis Hamilton fan. First off, I need to clarify some credentials, why I am qualified to talk about this. Why can I talk about this? Okay, so for one, I'm black. And as we all know, every black person is a Lewis Hamilton fan. You know, you may be a black person and be a Ferrari fan, but in truth, you're just a Lewis Hamilton fan, as the saying goes from Sebastian Vettel. Second of all, I am in fact a Lewis Hamilton fan, confirming the first statement. And last of all, I'm sane. Now that last one might be a bit contentious for you guys. You guys maybe have seen some of my recent posts and think maybe I'm not quite sane in the head. But I can clarify that I did delete Twitter, and so I am one of the sane Lewis Hamilton fans. This is just going to be a quick beginner's guide to being a Team LH fan. Some of things I won't go over, some things you can put in the comment section below. Maybe I missed a couple of things, but this is your beginner's guide to joining Team LH. But first off, we need to ask the question, what is Team LH? Because not every Lewis Hamilton fan is a Team LH fan. For the uninitiated, Team LH is a subsect of Lewis Hamilton fans that are essentially crazy. Now, you may be confusing Team LH fans with Team LH fans. Team LH fans are normal people. They're a group of people that call themselves Team LH. They're Lewis Hamilton's fan base. Team LH are a bunch of mobs. As you can see in my two magnificently copy and pasted graphs, in a regular bell curve, most of the people in the distribution lie in the middle because they are average. However, if you are a Lewis Hamilton fan, you know that most of the people are not in the middle. It goes like this. Most people who are Lewis Hamilton fans, about 60 to 70%, are casual fans of Formula One. They're celebrities. They're people who don't really pay attention to Formula One. What you've got to understand is that Lewis Hamilton is a public figure, bigger than the sport of F1, whether you like it or not. And so he has fans that grace further than the sport itself. Where most drivers need the sport to be recognized, Lewis Hamilton is recognized first and what he does second. I can indeed confirm that most Brits don't actually know what Lewis Hamilton does for a living. They just know he's a famous guy. Then you have this colorful red, blue, yellow circle. This is Team LH. They're fairly serious fans. They're okay. They're maybe just above the regular threshold, but they're relatively normal. They're sane. They're calm. And then you have a step further in the yellow circle, the fully yellow circle. There is me. I am probably a bit more serious about F1 than some of the Team LH fans, but maybe I'm not as serious about Lewis Hamilton as some of the Team LH fans, if that makes any sense. And finally, you have the red circle. Now, what you might notice about the red circle is that there is no curve on the red circle. It is, in fact, further than the curve. And that is because I have a sneaky, very sneaky, might I add, suspicion that most Team LH fans, especially the ones that talk a lot of nonsense on Twitter, comes from fans that basically amount to 0% if rounded up. These fans are basically non-existent, but do not fail every practice session, every qualifying session, and every race session that Lewis doesn't lead, manage to whine across all social medias for everyone to hear it. They are also the type of fans that, as you can see in the picture below, are the reason Lewis Hamilton wears an LGBT helmet. Now, as you may know, Lewis Hamilton didn't always wear an LGBT helmet. However, one point in, I think, 2017 or 2018, he made fun of his nephew or cousin or something like that for wearing a dress. And then Team LH bullied his sponsors to bully him into accepting LGBT. Not to say he maybe didn't accept it beforehand, but now he's very hand over fist with it because now his sponsors and his fans truly are pressuring him to do it. And so now that we've established what a crazy Team LH fan is and what a regular Team LH fan is and where I am, let us continue with the presentation. Now, as your first step to being a Team LH fan, you've got to understand one thing and one thing only. This is your gospel. This is the basis for all of your foundational beliefs about LH, Lewis Hamilton. It's impossible for you to beat Hamilton. Now on the screen, I have George Russell, Max Verstappen. I have a picture of Lewis Hamilton himself, and I have a picture of Fernando Alonso. Now, from the left, George Russell. George Russell beat Lewis Hamilton in his first season. Now, you might be wondering, so what's the controversy? He beat Lewis Hamilton. No, that is not the way a Lewis Hamilton fan speaks. That is the way a regular F1 fan speaks. He didn't beat Lewis Hamilton. Lewis Hamilton had sensors on his car. Now, obviously, this goes against a lot of logic, and you could probably back this up with some statistics and interviews from the team, but from a fundamental belief, the only reason George Russell won in 2022 had nothing to do with performance and everything to do with those sensors on Lewis's car and those experimental setups. Next, you have Max Verstappen. As you all know, Lewis Hamilton and Max Verstappen fans have been going at war for many years now. And you may wonder, where did Lewis Hamilton beat Max Verstappen? Obviously, we're talking 2021 beyond. And that's where you're wrong. Max Verstappen never beat Lewis Hamilton in 2021. The stewards did. See, this is the conditioning. You need to focus your mind, because if you don't do this, you won't ever survive as a Team LH fan. Max Verstappen was gifted the championship. And if anyone ever questions the statement that Lewis Hamilton was robbed and Max Verstappen didn't win in 2021, you must say that Max Verstappen is a Mickey Mouse, cost cap and human error bowl champion. You see the fluency I said that is because I've been saying it a lot. Once you get to my level, you will be as fluent as I am. Next, we're going to skip over Lewis for a second, and we're going to go to Fernando Alonso. Now, you may be asking again, when did Fernando beat Lewis in recent times? Now, this isn't about recent times. This is a symbol. Now, some people floating around the paddock, I don't know where those rumors have come from, say that Fernando Alonso right now is in better form than Lewis Hamilton. And what you must do whenever anyone says anything of any type of magnitude towards Lewis Hamilton is bring up something in the past that can be used as ammunition. So when someone says Fernando Alonso is performing better than Lewis Hamilton, you say, not in 2007, he wasn't. And when they say, but this is in 2023, you must reply, Hamilton was a rookie. And the same applies to any other driver. Michael Schumacher is better than Lewis Hamilton. How much wins does Michael have? Max Verstappen has more pace than Lewis. Not in Singapore 2018, he didn't. Any argument can be counteracted with the fact that Lewis Hamilton holds basically every single record known in F1 history. And with this ammunition, you can fight the most annoying fight on Twitter or any platforms, in fact, because Lewis Hamilton cannot be beat. He can only be cheated. Now, lastly, you may be wondering, why is there a picture of Lewis Hamilton beating Lewis Hamilton? Lewis Hamilton cannot beat Lewis Hamilton. And that is where you are not thinking like a Lewis Hamilton fan, or rather an LH fan. You are thinking like a regular. This is not a picture of Lewis Hamilton driving a car. This is a picture of a terrible Mercedes car, because when all else fails, remember that it isn't Lewis Hamilton, it's the car. Because when Lewis Hamilton won 7 more championships, it was all Lewis Hamilton's talent according to his supporters. However, now it is all due to the car. Truly poetic how we manage to use our words like Shakespeare. So whenever Lewis is having a bad race, remember that he only ever had good races because it's him, but he only ever has bad races because it's the car. If he gets out-qualified by George in the first 3 races of the season, it's the car. If he gets out-raced by George most of 2022, it's the car. If anything wrong goes in an inter-team dynamic, it is the car. And if you want to stretch it a little bit further and be one of my A+ students, you can point to the fact that Lewis Hamilton is being sabotaged by Mercedes. Yes, I said it. He is being sabotaged by Mercedes, the same team that won him 7 world championships. Oh, sorry, 6. My delusion is kicking in again. You can remind yourself that that team, the team that gave him basically every bit of legacy he now has, is now sabotaging him for no good reason. And with that, we can easily segue to the next stage of your training, which is that if you are not with us, you are against us. Now, obviously, there are a few things to go through here. First of all, and the easiest, drivers. As you see, we have King Latifi, and any driver, and I do really mean any driver, that comes in contact with Lewis or is in Lewis's way or even dares to race Lewis, you must call out and shun them, because how dare they race our GOAT? Second of all, any TV presenter, whether that be Karun Chandok, Paul di Resta, whether it's valid criticism or bad criticism, they must be shamed and preyed upon online and in person. Remember, nobody is above criticizing Lewis Hamilton. Does that make sense? I don't think that makes sense, but you understand what I mean. Next, we have RPM. Now, some of you may recognize RPM for his signature I don't know what this means. Swear down on me nan's grave? Is that his catchphrase? I'm not sure. But he does criticize our movement a lot. So to this, we have to make sure that every time he says something outrageous, we quote Abu Dhabi and we quote exactly why Lewis Hamilton is our GOAT above the Verstappen shaggers. Now, lastly, as you're training in this section, you must remember that this is a relationship. Lewis knows exactly who you are, and he is fighting just as hard as you do. Lewis gets offended just as much as you do. So when George and Lewis come together and then Lewis apologizes, you must continue to fight George. Why? Because Lewis doesn't know what he's doing. He's being forced to apologize. And so you have to fight on his behalf because you're his friend and he knows exactly who you are. And speaking of Lewis being forced to do things he doesn't want to do and manipulation, I bring you to the grand finale, the magnum opus of being a Team LH fan. The one thing, well, the second most thing, apart from the first lesson, that you must know and that you must use in ammunition above anything else, no matter what happens. You must never forget. It's all because of Abu Dhabi. Yes, you heard it right. It's all because of Abu Dhabi. Why is racing boring now? Because Abu Dhabi was rigged. Why is Lewis Hamilton's move to Ferrari so sudden? Because of Abu Dhabi. Why is the car that Mercedes have so slow? Because of Abu Dhabi. Everything is because of Abu Dhabi. Everything can be linked back, traced back to Abu Dhabi. Abu Dhabi is genuinely the cause of all cause. Abu Dhabi is the big bang that started the universe. Yes, I am telling you that correctly. Abu Dhabi started the universe. Now, obviously, there are some words to the left and to the right. I'm sure the keen-eyed of you, the LH fans that are growing and that are taking notes, will know what these words mean or can feel what these words mean. But for the uninitiated, because this is a full guide, these are trigger words. These are the words that may cause you to either bring up Abu Dhabi or get into your defensive stance. Now, these words may include, but are not limited to, George Russell, Max Verstappen, Lewis out-qualified, Formula One, and safety car. Now, the words in black are great because they get you just ready to fight someone on social media, but the words in red are the things that we need to watch out for. Now, number one, above all, is safety car. And you may be asking, Maragby, why is there safety car on the major trigger words and the minor trigger words? See, if Lewis is having a good race and there's a safety car, Lewis Hamilton fans or Team LH fans would still get flashbacks even if there is a safety car. However, if Lewis is having a bad race and there's a safety car, it's extra flashbacks. It's an overdose on trauma. It's PTSD. It's everything you fought against as a child. And so safety car appears twice. And in fact, at the top of the list, the next word is Max Verstappen, world champion. Now, obviously, as a Team LH fan, you know Max Verstappen is a cost-capping human error. What is the next one? Oh, damn, I'm losing it. Mickey Mouse world champion. That's the one. But whenever the words Max Verstappen and world champion are raised, remember to bring up the fact that he is not a real world champion, and that every time he is brought up as a world champion, it is clearly indicating the fraudulent behavior of the FIA and Sky Sports. Next is stewards, pretty self-explanatory. Next is robbed, again, pretty self-explanatory. Next is 58 laps and Abu Dhabi, separately, because whenever we do race at Abu Dhabi, it is major PTSD for Lewis Hamilton fans. And lastly, racing. Because whenever Lewis Hamilton races someone and he says it's dangerous driving, make sure to berate that driver after the race, especially if they came close to contact. Because again, like I said earlier, no driver should be close to Lewis Hamilton ever. Now, I didn't make an extra slide, but as a bonus slide, I must remind you that civil war is better than no war. Now, you might be asking again, what do you mean by that? Now, obviously, my young Padawan, you must remember that LH fans want war. We do want war. We want rebellion. We want justice for lap 58. And we will take our anger out on anyone, including our own team. If you scroll to any, and I really do mean basically any, Mercedes post on Instagram, Twitter, any George Russell posts where George Russell is doing better than Lewis, all the comments are filled with the fact Mercedes are sabotaging Lewis. And if it was the opposite way around, it was because George Russell is terrible. Remember, guys, you're not a Mercedes fan, you're a Team LH fan. So when Mercedes and Lewis part ways at the end of 2025, remember to unfollow them on all social medias and forget you ever supported that team. If any of you guys want to pay for extra lessons, I'm here all week. But if not, make sure to subscribe to the channel for more guides and advice on how to become the best Team LH fan possible.